What's going on, everyone? In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you how your compost can suck. Let's go. So if you're thinking to yourself, wow, those pumpkins look pretty yellow, you'd be correct. These pumpkins are pretty yellow, and that is a sign that they are lacking nutrients, specifically nitrogen. At this point in their growth, they should be twice or 3 times this size. The pumpkins forming should be twice as large. This is not a great year for growing pumpkins. Now, rewind back to the beginning of the season when I said we are buying truckloads of compost. Now, granted, the price that came with that compost should have been a bit of a red flag, but we had some friends that we made in the industry. They essentially generate compost, and the compost we bought was really inexpensive. And I think the reason why it was so inexpensive was because, well, it sucked. When it comes to compost, you would think that it's all just broken down organic material and it's all the same. But I've also been one to say that not all compost is created equal. Yes, all compost is broken down organic material, but is your diet fast food, or is your diet vegetables, fruits, grains, nuts, fresh whole foods? What does your diet consist of? You are what you eat, right? And we live by that mantra all the time. We always say, if you garbage in, garbage out. You can only get out what you put in. And that is so true with compost as well. Now, when the compost first arrived, I noticed that the compost was a bit dry. It was a bit broken down. It was dark in color. It looked black. It looked beautiful, but it had a textural problem. And that textural problem told me that it was overly degraded. Now, at face value, overly degraded would seem kind of like a good thing, like it's extra composted. It's extra broken down. But when it comes to compost, extra broken down is not actually as good as you'd think. I'll explain. So if you look at this compost here, we layered down about 2 inches of compost on top of the soil. We worked that in, and then we brought in about another 2 inches of compost. So we have 2 inches of incorporated with the native soil, and then 2 inches on top as we thought a really good layer to grow in, to get a good start in. Now, what you'll see here is that it is really, really dry. It also has lost a lot of that nice dark color. If I break open some of these clods, you'll see it's got some nice dark color here, but it's lacking something. It's lacking organic material. Now, it's odd because when you look at compost, you think, okay, compost is broken down organic material, so you probably don't want to see any organic material, otherwise it's not composted. The problem is there's not humus. Humus is the leftover remnants of broken down organic material. It's essentially the skeleton. It's what made up the material that was being broken down. And so that tells me that there's not a lot of ability to trap and to hold the benefits of compost, because compost is great, but if there's nothing to hold the benefits of compost, being the humus, that is what really makes up the most important part of compost. Otherwise, you essentially have just a really good quality topsoil. If you lose all of the amazing benefits of compost, that's what you've got. And so this is essentially what we have. We have a really good topsoil, which for me means nothing. There's no value in a really good quality topsoil because if you'll notice, there's nothing here to hold the structure. There's nothing here that's porous to hold on to nutrients. The sponge of the soil is the humus, and there's none of that. There's no punky wood. There's no bits of old leaf debris. There's nothing in here that is going to absorb nutrients, hold on to water, trap it, and essentially hold on to it for the plants to use. There's nothing for the mycorrhizal fungi to hold on to and inoculate. There's nothing for the bacteria to call home. There's nothing. It's just loose. And that comes from being overly degraded and having probably poor inputs. Now, this is further evidenced by the fact that we've actually had to come back here and fertilize our pumpkin patch 3 times this year with fertilizer. And why do we have to reapply it so often? And why is the fertilizer we're adding really becoming ineffective? And that's, again, a testament to the fact there's nothing to hold it in the soil. If we get a heavy rain, it just washes it away. Even though it's organic, even though it should stay in the soil, there's nothing there that's really binding it or holding it near the plant roots. It's just washing away. And so what we're really left with is, like I said, a very good quality topsoil. And you can grow plants in topsoil. I mean, our plants are growing. They're not growing fast. They're showing some signs of stress. They are producing some pumpkins, not a lot, not nearly what they should be, but they are producing some pumpkins. And so we essentially just have a really good quality topsoil. Now, I want to go back to what I talked about when I talked about the inputs probably were not as good as they could be. And this is really what I want to touch on and finish on, because it doesn't need to be a long video, because I think a lot of people already understand the importance of compost, but it's the importance of the inputs that is most important, right? So if you look at the compost diet, right, going back to that example, there's so many things that we can break down and degrade. One of the worst things to break down is what we call kind of bulk or fluff. Now, it's essential to making compost, but too much of it can just add essentially empty calories to our compost, and that's carbon. Carbon can come in the form of any brown material, whether that be decaying leaves, whether that be wood chips, which is actually the main source of organic material from this compost we got, which also is further evidence to why we're getting the results we got. Wood chips are just basically pure carbon. Cardboard, paper, anything like that, anything that is brown or dry and crumbly, that is carbon. Again, that makes up the fluff of the compost. That makes up the bulk majority of the compost. And it's essential to creating compost, but it can't be all of what your compost is. The other components should be your nutrient-rich sources, right? Good compost should have lots of nitrogen, right? It should have lots of grass clippings. It should have lots of green material, right? Green grass clippings, food scraps. It should have maybe some chicken manure or horse manure, or maybe it's sheep manure, right? Some type of manure, some type of nitrogen-rich manure. It should also have trace minerals, right? So leaves are a fantastic source of trace minerals. Wood chips are not. You see, the leaves, they have the roots tapping deep down into the soil. They are bringing up those trace minerals up into the leaves. It's not storing trace minerals like iron and magnesium and molybdenum and calcium and right, any of the zinc, right? There's like 75 to 100 trace minerals that you can have, and all of those are being stored in the leaves. And then what happens is in the fall, the leaves drop, and that then fertilizes the soil around the tree. It also suppresses weeds, breaks down, and refeeds the tree. It builds that nutrient source up. So if you're not breaking down a lot of leaf material and you're only breaking down wood chips, or mostly wood chips, you're essentially just going and you're eating essentially like you're living on bread. And there's an old saying that man cannot live on bread alone, right? So you can't just eat bread every day, all day, and expect to be healthy. It can be okay for a day or two or three, maybe even a week. After a while, your body's like, I need something other than bread. I need give me an apple. I need a salad, right? Leaves will do that. So if you don't have a compost that is well-rounded, you're going to have compost, but it's going to be the sum of what you put into it. And in our case here, we have compost that was created with way too many wood chips. We have a compost that was basically done very quickly to essentially get compost that looks good, but doesn't actually act good. So what are we going to do about it? Well, we're going to come back in the spring and we're going to actually we have a different source for compost. It's definitely a lot more expensive. And as they say, the price you pay should be reflective of the quality that you get. You know, if something is cheap, there's probably a reason why. And so we made some mistakes. We went to a source of a friend because we thought, let's save some money, let's get started, let's see how it is. And we really ended up regretting it, right? It's not going to be it's going to be a good base. It's going to build the base of our soil. It's certainly better than the native soil that was here, but it's far from acceptable. It just has good texture. Texture means nothing in the context of fertility. Only 5 to 10%. We need nutrients. We need humus, right? And so that is just a really quick example of how your inputs can reflect the results that you get in your compost, and why not all compost is created equal. If you go to a store and buy bagged compost, you'll find that bagged compost is just like this. It's far inferior to homemade compost. It's far inferior to fresh compost. Fresh compost looks kind of chunky and clumpy and black, and it should kind of leave a residue on your hands. Like if I picked this up and rubbed it on my hands, look at this, it's just drifting away in the wind. Compost should be kind of mucky and composty, right? It should smell like a rotting forest floor. And you don't get that with this. And so know your source, know your inputs. If you're making it yourself, treat it like your diet. Well-rounded, and give it lots of inputs, and you're gonna have an incredible, incredible compost. The final thing I was gonna mention is you can have compost, but try not to exceed about 50% brown material. That's what went wrong here. This was probably more like 80% brown material, mostly wood chips, and that leads us to a very imbalanced compost. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you all learned something new. If you did, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments box down below if you have experienced compost, your experience with compost. If you've experienced bad compost, good compost, let me know what you got. Let me know what you learned from your compost, and I hope you guys enjoyed. So, as always, this is Luke from the Am I Gardener channel, reminding you to grow bigger. I'll catch you all later. See ya. Bye. Hey, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed, consider clicking this one. You'll probably enjoy it just as much. I want to thank you for your viewership, because without it, this channel would not be as amazing as it is. Also, if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. It's free, and we upload videos every Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. We also have vegetable seeds, fertilizer, or tools. If you need any of those, consider visiting migardener.com. Links will be in the description box below. We've got you covered. And as always, we'll see you all in the garden. Take care.